Hi everyone, I'm Ashmita Chitlangya.
And I am Pushpam from the Lancaster University.
And you are listening to the MBA Lancaster Highlights podcast.
In this series, we are going to talk to students about their experiences on the Lancaster MBA course.
Keep listening and stay tuned.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the MBA Lancaster Highlights podcast. Today, I am with two fascinating people, Richard from Nigeria and Manileka from India. Hello, welcome to both of you.
Thank
Thank you.
Pushpa.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Richard, first?
My name is Richard and I am from Nigeria. I have a background in insurance and I've been in insurance for the last 4 years.
Manileka?
Yeah, so my name is Manileka Bakshi, and prior to my MBA, I have an experience in quality assurance. So I've been a senior software analyst in an MNC in India.
Fantastic. Now that we have almost come to the end of the MBA, yeah, it's been a fascinating 11. Why don't we go back and talk about a few modules that we had? For some of the hot modules that really stood out for me was like the BMC, strategy, consulting. What was your experience of BMC, the Business Management Challenge?
For the BMC, I found that it was quite a very fascinating thing, especially the simulation, because one thing it brought to light was it made me understand like how important every aspect of an organization is. So you can't just put more effort in maybe the HR aspect and leave the research and development aspect of an organization. So every different aspect of an organization is important. You can't just put more effort in one more than the other because they all have to complement each other for organizational success, basically.
What do you have to say about that?
I totally agree with Richard. I mean, Richard and I were in the same team. In BMC. Yeah, so it was a great experience, honestly. I mean, I have never gone through such an experience, like simulation experience earlier. So it was something very different for me. And yeah, the adrenaline rush was at the times where we, had to lock our decisions within a particular time frame. That was something really crazy. I mean, I remember locking it just a few seconds before the deadline, and yeah, that was something amazing.
And do you guys remember how we had to like work overnight for the presentation? Then they had to go and pitch it in front of the VCs.
That was really crazy.
How did you do that?
I mean, I live in town, so I did not expect to stay overnight. I came to school at 9 a.m. and I was there until night, and we were going on, and then it was 1 a.m. and then 2 a.m. and before you know it was 5 a.m. in the morning.
5 a.m., yes.
And I was going back home at 5 a.m. and I had to sleep for like 2 hours and come back
again,
again for the presentation at 9. So yeah, it was crazy. But now that I remember, I think it was very fascinating. It was a lot of fun as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and actually they pushed you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I remember during BMC module, one of my flatmates had got COVID, so because of which I was quarantining myself.
Correct.
So, but then my team was very, very inclusive. They used to call me every time, keep me on, online and take all the decisions and everything, which was very nice. We got to learn a lot about team management there. And yeah, like Richard said, overnight we had to prepare a presentation, prepare a good business plan to pitch in front of the VC. So yeah, that was another good thing.
And these kind of, when you're pushed against the wall,
I know.
you learn so much about teamwork, leadership, how do you divide the task amongst yourself, break it down, So that I think that was the key learnings for me. Like, what about you guys? Well, what did you get amazed?
I mean, I totally agree with you. A lot about team management skills, inclusivity, how to, the most important thing which I learned about BMC was how to, create a good storyline and pitch in front of the venture capitalists.
Yes, so true, storytelling.
Yeah, that was, storytelling skills. So that was something which was, the highlight of the BMC for me.
So I would say the thing about that BMC was it was something that I had never done before.
Yes.
So it made me understand how it's very, very important for you to push yourself and do things outside of your comfort zone, basically, because there are a lot of things out there that you do not know, and you need all those moments to be able to learn something new, something fresh, and just basically get yourself into a space that you've never been before, so you'd be able to gather much more knowledge than you have. So yeah, it was a good learning experience.
I think another module where we really had to push ourselves was strategy.
Yeah, so strategy module was very unconventional for me. It taught me various things about strategic and tactical thinking, honestly. And I mean, we got to learn by doing, by practical exposure, and through the people sitting in the room, and through cross questionings, you know, the way they had set up people, you know, like my company was Tesla.
Okay.
And knowing about a company which is already doing so well, what loopholes can you find out, honestly? It was the biggest challenge for us initially. Yes.
But
so
that's how you learn, you know, when you're
I know,
pushed.
I mean, and the way they had set it up, right? So in the room we had Tesla and BMW, and both of them came against each other, and we used to question each other about all the technology and strategy and stuff, which kept us very, very engaging, honestly. And that built a very good competitive spirit in the room, which I liked.
Yeah, mine was Netflix, and I was competing against Disney. What was yours, Richard?
Okay, so when I remember strategy, one thing I remember is that I really enjoyed being taught by Jerry Johnson.
Okay.
I think he's a very smart man. Harsh, but yeah, he's a very smart man. And it's made me, it really is like it's what you see out there in the real world, basically. You're going to be faced with this senior executives that are going to drill you, basically. Every single decision you make, you have to be able to defend it.
Absolutely.
And it's made me understand how strategy works in a way that you have to consider a lot of things before you take a particular decision.
Absolutely.
You have to check what obstacles there could be, what the barriers could be, the enablers of that decision, and taking trends as well into consideration before you say, okay, this is the decision I want to make, this is the strategy I want to go with. So it was quite a very fascinating thing. It was a very intense, very crazy 4 days. But I would say it made me understand that you have to be ready to defend every single strategy or decision you make.
And I think all those skills that we learned during all these modules was very handy when we went to the consulting challenge, correct? So would you like to talk about that? Like, which was your company?
My consulting company was Beeline B2B.
Okay.
They had like a data company acquisition, basically. And then they wanted to use that to see how they could get more market share in terms of helping out the insurance industry and all of that. So it was quite a very, what I enjoyed most about that was I was working with actual humans and actual problems.
Absolutely.
And whatever decision I'm going to make is actually going to affect the company.
What about you, Manileka? Which was your company and how was your experience?
My company was Planisware. Planisware was into IT project and portfolio management. So they have got some softwares which they are targeting to sell to the engineering and utilities sector in the UK.
Wow.
And my career aspiration is to be a project manager in future. So that was very, very useful for me, honestly. And I mean, the moment we went into market research and you know how the engineering and utilities sector works in the UK and stuff like that. So more and more we deep dived into the research. We got to unfold a lot of insights. Which was very interesting, honestly. And like Richard said, you know, you get to work with real people in the industry.
Absolutely.
So, it actually makes sense when you speak to them and you realize that your decisions are really going to impact a decision in their company and how is it going to help them.
I am working with Kellogg's. I'm trying to work out their digital marketing strategy. You know, when you talk to the sales director, marketing director, digital marketing team, get to learn so much. I'm sure you guys also would have conducted lots of interviews with the senior high stakeholders. You know, you learn all those things. And these are the skills that you will be carrying forward in your career. Thank you so much to both of you for coming on the show and talking to us.
So much.
And once again, guys, so this is just a reflection of all the modules that we have done. There are other modules as well, for example, core capabilities, responsible leadership, marketing, strategy, etc., etc. But this was just to give you a flavor of what kind of modules and learnings we have. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.